Welcome to Fantasy Baseball Picks and Bets here on the Mayo Media Network. I'm your host, David Jones, at Tenacious D Jones on Twitter, Tenacious D Jones on DraftKings, hopefully climbing up the leaderboard. Hopefully you're climbing up the leaderboard too. I'm here to talk to you about baseball, fantasy baseball, and prize picks, and a couple bets at the end. Try to increase our bankroll a little bit. We've got a big 14-game slate on Friday. So hopefully we can take advantage of some of these pitchers, some of these batters, some of these hitters, some of these stacks. Hopefully we can take advantage of the situation. I'm going to do my best, give you a couple guys that I like and a team or two and some players that I like. So you're here at the Mayo Media Network. Please smash the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. We have a lot of MLB content coming out here daily. A different show from a different host daily. Find the guy you like, follow their picks, and hopefully you make some money. I know we've really been successful over the past few weeks we've been doing this, so hopefully it's been helpful to you, and we appreciate you watching. So, I want to talk to you today about prize picks. I want to talk to you today about DraftKings and a couple bets at the end if you feel like throwing those in. So if you're not familiar with prizepicks.com, I've explained it before. Go over to prizepicks.com, use the code MNN, Mayo Media Network, MLB. MLB, and get yourself a nice little discount when you sign up. Make sure you use that code, and you can bet on fantasy outcomes for baseball players. So it's not really like picking the spread. Actually, it's not like that at all. Picking the spread or overs and unders of games. It's picking the overs and unders of individual players and their fantasy output. Go over there, check it out. I'll give you a couple of picks that I like for tomorrow. Hopefully they cash. I like to pick overs. Overs are more fun, but I do focus on I do all the research. I go through every game. I go through every player against every pitcher. Then I pull up prize picks and say, okay, this line doesn't look good, and so I'm going to bet on this line, so that's what we're doing today. So prize pick number one is going to be Mr. Pete Alonso of the New York Mets. Bat's starting to look a little bit hotter. He's going up against Chase Anderson tomorrow. Chase Anderson is 0-3 in his start so far, 6.48 ERA. He's actually doing better than he did last year. Last year he was around 750, something like that. I'd have to pull it up, doing it from memory. Wasn't very good. Fly ball pitcher you can get to him. And look, he doesn't look very good this season so far. I think the Mets are going to be a nice little stack that I'll talk about later for DraftKings, but I think Pete Alonso is going to be the glue there. Him and Dominique Smith tomorrow. Pete Alonso's over-under is 7 fantasy points. I think he can get on base a couple times. I think he can drive in a run or two. He could even go deep. I think 7 is very attainable for Mr. Pete Alonso. Hopefully he brings a big stick tomorrow. Hopefully he hits a home run. Hopefully he hits a home run in the first inning, and we can just cash that one early. Focus on something else. So Pete Alonso, I'll get into the Mets why I like them a little bit more later on, but going up against Mr. Chase Anderson, just don't see it. 7.22 last season. That's what I was seeing. And he gave up 11 home runs in 33 innings. So a home run every 3. Pete Alonso, I think, can take it to him tomorrow. Pete Alonso, over 7. Next prize pick is going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. Feels like I'm chasing the 3 home run game from last time. Well, I am chasing that because he hit 3 home runs last game. He looked great, looked phenomenal, and it wasn't even the best matchup for him. He's going to have a nice matchup here tomorrow going up against Mr. Smiley of my Atlanta Braves. Mr. Smiley has given up a home run in every single game he has started so far this season. That's 3 starts. He's given up 6 home runs. Vlad Guerrero Jr., it should hit him well. He hit 3 homers last game that he played in for 70-something DraftKings points. His over-under is 8.5. He's going to be in a good spot to succeed against Smiley. I'm going to go with Vlad Guerrero Jr. over 8.5 at home with the traveling Braves coming over with Drew Smiley, who does not look good. He's giving it up. It's too bad. I wanted Drew Smiley to be better for my hometown Atlanta Braves. He has not been very good. So those are the 2 prize picks. Hopefully they go over. I like to choose the overs. They're more fun than the unders. If I saw unders I liked, I'd take them. I didn't, so I went with the overs. Let's talk about DraftKings. You know the deal with DraftKings. Pick a couple pitchers, stack a team or two, see if you can get in the money. A lot of games tomorrow, 14 games. We're going to have 28 pitchers to choose from. It's a lot of guys to choose from. In cash games, I think I know a guy you can go with. Seems pretty safe. In GPPs, I think you can go with him too. I do believe that there are some cheap options at pitcher tomorrow. I actually think there's quite a few cheap options at pitcher tomorrow. I don't want to recommend the highest price pitcher, which is going to be Shane Bieber versus the White Sox tomorrow, because I feel like that would be a cop out. And I don't want to recommend the second highest price pitcher, who is Garrett Cole, because I feel like that'd be a cop out, but I can't get away from that one. I feel like Garrett Cole is going to be a good play tomorrow, so I'm going to play Garrett Cole. He's got 5 starts so far in the season, 50 strikeouts. That's 10 strikeouts average per game. That is a lot of strikeouts. I don't care if he gives up a run or two, which I really don't expect him to, because one strikeout's essentially canceling out those runs. Detroit's hardly even getting on base, so I feel like Garrett Cole is going to be a good start here. Actually, I know he is. The Tigers have scored 2 runs in their last 3 games. It's very bad. They're 6th worst in K percentage the last 3 games. That's very bad. They're 5th worst on the season with 10 strikeouts per game. They're striking out a ton. Detroit's striking out 10 times per game on the season, and Shane Bieber is averaging 10 strikeouts per game. Not Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole. Shane Bieber's doing great too, but Garrett Cole averaging 10 strikeouts per game against a team that allows 10 strikeouts per game. You do the math. I'm going to go with Garrett Cole. Give me Garrett Cole. Even though the Yankees' bats have not been looking good, they looked good last game. They're a good team. They should get it together. The averages so far this season really don't show what the Yankees are capable of doing. I bring that up because I want the win for Cole, and I think that he can still do it with or without the bats. I mean, they should beat Detroit. The Yankees should beat Detroit tomorrow. So I'm going with Garrett Cole. He's only allowed 3 walks in his last 31.2 innings. Only 3 walks. Most pitchers allow 3 walks in, a game. Garrett Cole's looked phenomenal. He's got his season best in hits, homers, and walks in 5 starts so far this season. He looks great. So does Bieber. He's around him. Darvish looks good. A lot of pitchers look good tomorrow. But Garrett Cole is safe. I'm going to go with Garrett Cole as my SP1 at 10-5 against the Detroit Tigers. And usually you don't want to, well, not usually, but sometimes you feel like you don't want to spend up for pitchers. But you have some value bats. There's so many teams playing tomorrow. 28 teams playing tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of value bats you can fit them in. So Garrett Cole, that's who we're going with. Next, we're going to be talking about which stacks we like. A lot of stacks we can like tomorrow too. I actually think there's more pitchers than stacks. There's more one-offs than stacks that I like, quite frankly. And I looked at everyone here, and I'm trying to come up with someone that might be a little off the radar. And it's scary, but I landed on the New York Mets versus Chase Anderson. Kind of alluded to that with Pete Alonso. Actually, I did allude to that with Pete Alonso. Chase Anderson, 0-3, 6.48 ERA so far this season. Last season, it was 7.22, which is bad. I mentioned it earlier, 11 home runs the last season, which is, he averaged more last season than he did this season, but you should have regressed to the mean here. 11 home runs in 33.2 innings. A lot of fly balls, more fly balls than grounders, 66 fly balls compared to 39 grounders last season. 27 earned runs in 33.2 innings. I'm going to say that again. 27 earned runs in 33 innings. That's last season, but season's still pretty young. So I think we can go by that, and I think we can look at what he's done so far this season, which is not good. Almost 7 runs per game. Not good for Mr. Anderson there. If we can get anywhere close to, if we can get 1 run every 2 innings, 1 run every 3 innings, and then pick on the bullpen a little bit, we're going to be good. So we're going to go with the Mets. Dominic Smith owns him. If you're a BVP nerd, 2 homers in 5 at-bats for Dominic Smith, hitting .270 and .360 against righties, and just absolutely crushing Chase Anderson in his career. And Dominic Smith is the guy that I like this season. He's finally moved up in the batting order, which I like. He's not a guy that typically had that much opportunity. And if you look at his last games, it's concerning because he hasn't got a hit in the last 3 games, right? But the Mets have been kind of cold overall, but once one of these teams starts swinging the bat, the rest of the lineup tends to follow. Dominique, last time that I called him out on the show, hit a homer. Had himself a nice little game. So we're going to go with Dominique. Going to go with Dominique Smith. I like him. He's going to be low owned. Confirmed if you like low owned players. Confirmed he's going to be low owned. Then we're going to go with Mr. Michael Conforto next in the stack. Conforto, again, a guy that has been cold this season. His price kind of reflects that, $4,300. His bat has kind of turned on. I'd say the last, 5 or 6 games. He's getting on base. He's getting hits. I know last game against Boston, he didn't get on base. That happens. It's baseball. But he's finally getting hits. So far in the season, he only has 1 home run, which is not good. That's not Conforto-esque, but the season is still young. And this is a very good time for the lefty to get on base and get some runs in and hopefully hit a home run. That's what we're going for, and I think you can do it against Chase Anderson. Matter of fact, I know you can. History tells us that. Brandon Nemo's the next batter. He's hit a homer off him before in 9 at-bats. If you're into BVP, which I kind of am, I think that kind of tells you something. It's not the end-all, be-all, but I think it tells you something. Hitting 200 and 410 if you combine this season and last season for Nemo against righties, which Chase Anderson is. I think he's going to be a good play. I think he's going to be low-owned. The whole Met stack should be low-owned. So Dominique Smith, Conforto, Nemo, Pete Alonso. I don't mind picking a couple pieces around that, but you want 3 of those 4 in your lineup because if 3 of those 4 get going, or if the Mets score a lot of points, and that means 3 of those 4 got going, I would think. So that's your stack. I like the Mets. Next, let's talk about some one-off hitters. Kind of a quick hitter here. DJ Stewart versus Mike Fiers. Mike Fiers is not what Mike Fiers used to be. DJ Stewart has hit 230, 350 with 7 homers against righties. If you combine this season and last season, which is what I am still doing because we don't have enough data for this season, and I don't think anyone else really does that. He's had a slow start. I mean, the Orioles have kind of had a slow start. I don't believe he has very many hits, if any, in the past couple games. DJ Stewart, $3,000. In the past 4 games, 0 hits. Not great, but this seems like a good get-right spot for a cheap price, $3,000, and you're going to be looking for a cheap outfielder, I would think. The lefty hits righties well, surprisingly. So DJ Stewart, I'm going to go with him versus Mike Fiers, who I don't believe in at all. Marcell Ozuna, lefty smasher, going up against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, he's allowed 3 home runs on the year, and he's played very bad teams, which is something you have to look at. He's played cold teams. I don't want to say very bad. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and the New York Yankees, and we know the New York Yankees have been cold. So these are poor hitting teams getting to Robbie Ray. Ozuna finally popped off for a homer last night, so I'm going to like Ozuna going up against the lefty here because Ozuna is a lefty smasher. I'm going to go with Mitch Haniger of the Seattle Mariners. What? Yep, going with him against Andrew Heaney, who has turned it on recently too. But I tend to think that the Mariners hit lefties better than it's showing on paper. Last season they hit lefties very well. I think they can snap back into it. Mitch Haniger's hit 2 homers off Heaney in his past, even though Heaney has been pitching better than he's ever pitched before. I will give him that so far, but I still think Haniger, leading off the Mariners, can get there, hitting 300 and 360 with 6 hits and 20 at-bats and 1 homer against lefties. So give me some Haniger if you combine the past 2 seasons. Give me some Haniger against Mr. Heaney. I'm going to go with Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs going up against Wade Miley. He's 5 of 11 in his career against Wade Miley. That's good. Hitting about 500 against Wade Miley. Hitting 500 against anyone's good. You don't need that. Give me 300 with 3 homers off him and 48 at-bats. Chris Bryant's going to be good. And then we're going to go back to Vlad versus Smiley. I mentioned a little bit earlier. 6 homers in his last 3 starts is what Smiley has allowed. And Vlad had 3 last game. He's turned it on. He's a huge power hitter. We know this about Vlad Guerrero Jr., so go with Vlad. Those are going to be the one-off bats that I'm looking at. There's going to be more stacks. There's going to be more pitchers. Come over to ftndaily.com and check out the content over there. It's not just me. There's other guys to choose from. A lot of the guys on the Mayo Media Network, or a few of them. I know Big John, big fan favorite. Big John's going to be over there breaking it down. Tomorrow, too, we have several articles, a lot of bets, a lot of great guys over there. You want more stacks, you want more pitchers, come over there. If I'm going to pick a couple bets tomorrow, I'm going to go with the Orioles over 3. That number just seems pretty low to me. I mentioned Mike Fiers earlier, who's getting kind of beat up. The Orioles have not looked great recently, but 3 is a low number. They do have the bats. All we need is for 1 or 2 of them to turn it on, get 1 person, 2 people on base, hit a home run from Stewart, from Ruiz. I think that they can get there against Mike Fiers, who I just don't believe has the stuff anymore. So 3 is a low enough number for me to jump on board. And then the second one I'm going to go with, probably not going to be a popular bet either, because going against a very good pitcher in Yu Darvish, but the Giants are only a 2.5 over-under team total. The Giants are tied with the Los Angeles Dodgers for most wins right now in their division at 15, I believe, last time I checked. Could be 16 now. I think it's 15. The Giants are a good baseball team. The Giants can put up runs. No one ever is on the Giants. And I respect Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish is very good. Great K stuff. He could shut him out. But 2.5 is just, that's too low. Too low for a team that's tied with the Dodgers right now. I'm going to hop on 2.5 and hopefully they get to Darvish or get to the bullpen. I think they could get to Darvish. I really do think that they can. So 2.5, too low for me for a Giants team that's very overlooked right now. And they can put up some runs. So those are the 2 bets. Those are the one-off hitters. That's the stack of the Mets. I like Garrett Cole. Prize pick is going to be Vlad Guerrero and Pete Alonso, both the overs. And I hope that hits. I hope it helps you out. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I'll try and do better next week. But I feel pretty good about that. Especially about Garrett Cole. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.